Okay, I see
Cool.
it's gone live.
All right. Yep. It's live.
Okay. So first we are supposed to briefly describe the assignments we've done in the last 2 lessons. And we each talk about it for about 2 minutes. So I'll go first. I interviewed a family member, and then I also interviewed a primary teacher. Primary teacher teaches the sunbeams in CTR5, and the family member has kids ages 2, 4, and then 1 on the way. And so I got a lot of good information from them. But it was really interesting to see that the primary teachers' different interventions and risks were very different from the mom's different risks. And it seemed like the primary teacher had the risk of autism, and because he had seen autism in primary and how that had been a struggle for primary teachers and for the kids themselves. But the mom didn't have kids with autism, and so she saw more risks like, oh gosh, what was the one? Like getting hurt as a physical risk, being able to scrape their knee and get hurt and learn from those different milestones that you may hit. And so it was interesting where the primary teacher didn't really see those because he isn't in that perspective. Does that make sense? The different perspectives that they each saw showed them different risks that the other might not see.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense because maybe when, I don't know, for some people who are in the program, they don't see really how it is. So they sometimes advice from outside people, and sometimes it is backward. So it's kind of difficult.
Did you guys have any other insights that you gained from your assignments and interviews?
Yeah, I can be next. I interview 2 parents, and one have 11 years old boy, and then a girl from 6 and 3 years. What I see most common in both parts, that's the lack of healthy eating, so physical activity. Both of them love, they wonder about the kids. They spend more time like watching TV or inside the home rather than go outside and play sports or something like that. So that's what I see in my interviews.
Nice. And my interviews, I interviewed my cousin or my wife's cousin, guys, and they have 2 kids, 3 and 2. And then I interviewed another family from our ward, and they have 6 kids, and they all range from 1 to 12. And so they're the ones that basically gave me most of everything I worked on the last few weeks. And kind of like you were saying, Caitlin, that they each had different perspectives. For instance, my wife's cousin, their son, I had them talk about their 3-year-old son. And they talked about like ADHD and how he suffers from that, and how, and his like let's see, this is about cognitive. And then they also talked about electronics, and for him it was like lack of toys, which is one of the things I included in my table. And then the other family, they talked about they basically talked about everything that I had. It was like, for them, a lot of it was the electronic use, and kind of like child neglect and abuse, and basically like accidental injuries, let's see, and stuff like that. And they kind of gave me the insight to on the physical domain of like all the interventions and the people responsible, and they're the ones that kind of influenced my writing on how the children are responsible too, especially when it came to abuse and stuff, and how they're responsible and talking to a responsible adult, even though it can be hard at times, but just to, to teach their kids to, it's okay to talk about that stuff to somebody responsible. And they shared with me a story, but I don't think I should share that.
That's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, basically that was my 2 interviews.
I'm sorry. What I noticed is that most of the responsible parts to do the intervention are the parents, right? Sometimes teachers and community can help, but most of the people who is close to the kids is the children, so they are who need to intervene with the kids. What do you think?
Well, I think that, like Jeremiah said, that you have to, when it's abuse, you have to teach the children that they are responsible to talking to a responsible adult, but it can become difficult if it's their parent that's causing the abuse, because they may have been grown up thinking, oh, my parents are who I should talk to, but in that instance, that's not who you should talk to. You need to find someone else. So it could be very difficult.
I was talking about regular kids. I didn't talk about that when it's abuse or something. Yeah, when they are abused, they must talk with somebody else. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it looks like the next section that we're supposed to do is the social or emotional domain intervention that you researched this week. And state whether you have actually implemented the intervention personally to address the identified problem. Okay, so the one that I did was autism, and I have actually dealt with this risk and problem. When I was in high school, I was the nanny for a family that has 4 kids, 3 of which were diagnosed with autism. And so my main role in that as a nanny was to take kids to different therapies. And so that's where I learned the beginning of where the interventions are for autism. And there's quite a few, actually. And one of them is social skill training or speech and language therapy. So even though some of the kids may not have a problem with speaking, that they may be able to talk fine, they don't always understand how to say things, and they don't have eye contact, and it's some of those social cues around speech that they miss and language. And so it's like the nonverbal communication and intonation of how something is said. And so that speech therapy can help a lot. And when I nannied, I would take them back and forth to speech therapy. And one of the little boys started out with not saying anything. He did not communicate at like 7 years old. But by the end of the year, doing speech therapy 2 or 3 times a week, we would have scripted conversations back and forth where I would say, hey, what, Stu, we'll say that's his name. Hey, Stu, what is your favorite color? And he'd respond back, my favorite color is blue. What's your favorite color, Caitlin? And it was very scripted of what's your favorite something? And there were 4 questions that we'd ask back and forth. But by the end of the year, he could do that, where before he had no idea how to do that.
Wow.
So that's the one that I've had most personally to. The other ones that I've been around a little bit is cognitive behavior therapy with kids with autism, and it helps them with their behaviors and if they have tantrums and trying to process how to get through that. And the other intervention that can be, or 2 other interventions that can be used well, is applied behavioral analysis, ABA. And there's a lot of information that goes into that. But basically, it works on using cognitive and language abilities to help improve challenging behaviors. And so it may be stimming something the parents and the child want to help. And so they have a one-on-one aide that comes into their home usually, and they work on the processes of how to better deal with that behavior. And then the last one is sensory integration or occupational therapy. It's kind of a little bit of both. And they kind of talk about occupational therapy would be like what your occupation is. Using your hands for writing would be occupational therapy. But for kids, often it's play. That's their occupation, is to play. And so it helps them learn how to use the toys and how to write and different things that they may have problems with in that area. So those were the 4 interventions that I found that work the best with autism spectrum disorders.
Well, very interesting. Okay, who's next? Me or you, Jeremy?
Are you still there, Jeremiah?
Can you hear us?
It looks like you're muted. We can't hear anything you're saying if you're talking.
Can you hear me, Caitlin?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and I'll try and text him and see if something happened.
Okay. Well, I pick self-regulation, and I pick this because I work with people who has developmental disabilities, and I see that they have difficulty they couldn't manage their emotions. So self-regulation is the ability to manage your emotion and behavior in accordance with the demands of the situation. And I have been reading a book the past semesters where they said, like, we need to teach the children how to deal with emotions since they are babies. So the intervention is to be patient with them, hear them, and try to scaffolding. I don't know if scaffolding and teach them how they can, like, if they get mad, calm down. And it's very interesting, like, to read, like, kids who doesn't know themselves. They are at risk and have a lot of problems in the school because they they can fight with the classmate and don't pay attention. So it's very important to teach the kids to self-regulate, and they can do that by helping the children and teach them how to do it by example with the parents.
Well, it looks like we lost Jeremias.
Oh.
And I don't know how to get him back on since he called. And it's recording.
Yeah, well, he is recording, and he needs to save the link, and he needs to
yeah, but if he's gone,
yeah. So let's
go ahead and do that. I text him, so we'll see if we get him back. But I say we keep going then.
Yeah. He said that they have a lot of wind in the place.
Yeah.
So maybe we're gonna lose the communication, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should initiate the call again. And like if I hang up right now and start the call and call you, we can record from then on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what about him? Did you text him?
Yeah. I did.
Okay. Maybe wait a little bit. Oh. We already have almost 2 minutes.
What was that? Sorry?
I'm just saying that we almost have 30 minutes recording, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, we did R2 for the intervention that we each did.
Yeah.
And then next it says to share the highlights from the domain interviews you conducted with the caregivers, which I think we just did previously.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So
I think that part's done.
Yeah.
It's like the exact same thing as the first one.
Yes.
Oh, he joined the call again.
Nice.
Are you there, Jeremias?
Hello?
You can see. Oh, there you are.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry, my power went out.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry about that. That must be frustrating.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's been the last few weeks. What's
That must
frustrating
be
is
really
that
frustrating.
the rain's been gone as of the other day, but now the winds have picked up, and yeah, everyone's been losing power over here. So I'm sorry.
That's all right. Do you want to go ahead and share your social emotional domain intervention? Soraya just did hers. I'm sorry you missed it.
Shucks.
But I think, is it still recording on your end? The call?
Interestingly, yeah, it is.
Because it says it said it was live the whole time we were talking.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I'm hoping it's still recording.
I hope so too. It says live on my side.
Okay, well then I say we just keep going and hope for the best.
Yes.
Yeah, we can give her our word that we did this.
Yep.
All right, so oh man, I gotta refocus. Let's see. Okay, so
yeah, go ahead.
Is the I'm missing something here. All right. So I chose for my social emotional developmental domain, I chose ADHD. And I chose this because I have personal experience with children with ADHD. Not my kids, but my father-in-law is a mental health behavioral specialist, and he's had he had a kid, a client, I should say, for like maybe like 4 years now, and for as long as that I've been married to my wife, and so I've gotten to hang out with him a lot and kind of learn a lot through both of them, and which is why it was easy for me to choose this one. Let's see, part of the interventions that we did with him was mainly teaching him behavioral strategies and okay, hold on real quick. Teaching him behavioral strategies, and and then my father-in-law was in charge of requesting medications, different medications for him, or suggesting as well to his parents that could possibly work with his diagnosis, and then implementing a routine for him that will give him plenty of activities, physical activities, so that he can use up his energy properly, rather than, and because in school he was having a really, really hard time, which is normal. In my research papers or the peer-reviewed articles I read, it talked about how children with ADHD have a really hard time making friends. I mean, that's something that's kind of a given. And although they have good, what is it? I want to use the words they used. This is friendship. Oh, friendship interaction, or friendship intimacy exchange is what they use. Even though they have a lot of exchange with friends, they don't necessarily have friendship quality. And that was something that we found true with this child as I reflected back on him. And so it was mainly my father-in-law, but he knew that I was coming into this field, so he really helped. He's been helping me kind of understand this. But so what we did was that, like, I actually created a schedule for him, and we would do different things every day, and a lot of it had to do with outdoor work, as simple as like digging trenches in the yard to like divert rain or something to somewhere it's not supposed to go, or bike rides. We would take him if he was really good, and we would reward him taking him to the beach and teaching him basically swim, and just taking him out on a surfboard, as far as just being rewarding. We also we used my yard, kind of have a big yard, and we used my yard to do kind of like sports trainings, because he wanted to get into sports. He really wanted to be a soccer player. And since I played a little bit of soccer, I kind of helped him with that. And then we would do intervals. So we would spend a certain amount of time doing something, unless it was his reward day. We would spend a certain amount of time doing something, and then he would have to go inside and do work. And it would give him a little bit extra time to be calm, to do the work, before he basically gets the energy, and he starts getting distracted and starts talking stories with everybody, and the normal things ADHD children do. And in doing this, we actually noticed, and in combination with his new medicines that he had, his parents used cannabis oil, I believe, to help him, and he's actually much better, to the point where my father-in-law didn't need to watch him anymore as of recently. But because of that, he's been able to have much better behavioral outcomes during school, and he's been able to have better friendships, basically. He was able to, I remember when one time he came and he was talking about how he was so happy because he thought he made a new friend, and like, it was super cool. And so we praised him on that, and we encouraged him, and we gave him, I guess, like, more behavioral techniques to keep his friend, basically. Because, I mean, we watched the video too about how socially awkward people can lose friends and they jump steps and stuff. And so we basically gave him steps in order to maintain his friends. And my father-in-law saw him not too long ago, like a few weeks ago, and said that he's doing great. Supposedly, they ran into him in the store, and the parents were all like, "Wow, you guys!" So you guys did great with him, and he's doing so much better. He's getting better grades in school. He's participating more. He's not in the special ed classes and stuff. So he was able to actually change because of all these interventions that we tried doing together. And so anyway, that's why I chose ADHD, and I guess that's the interventions we use to help with that. I know my father-in-law did a little bit more that I don't know about because of confidentiality reasons, but that's what basically I was a part of.
No, that's great.
It sounds like some of the interventions that you used, Jeremiah, were pretty similar to some of the ones I mentioned for autism, about the behavior therapy and talking about how to work on changing different behaviors. And I think you mentioned a little bit of that too, Soraya.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I know that ADHD kids have trouble with self-regulation, but I don't know about autism. Do you think it is different too? The kids with autism, they also have problems with self-regulation?
Honestly, I think all kids have problems with self-regulation to some extent. But I think that you can help with different interventions, help make that self-regulation stronger.
Yes.
With autism, ADHD, with typically developing.
Yeah, it's true. Yes.
Yeah, I think autism children have to learn a lot about self-regulation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I work in a special ed class. I was telling this to Soraya last time we were talking. Yeah. Just by working with them, I feel like, well, in fact, my old client, he's come a long way. And I think it's because he's learned to self-regulate his anger and aggression a little bit. But he didn't start off that way, definitely.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And actually, they don't know to also how to express their feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so, how can link all these things together? How it's very interesting to see how when you are problems in one thing, this can be a lot of stuff bring together. Like if you're talking about self-regulation or autism, ADHD, they they have like multiple things, right? Not just one. No, you not just one thing. They have
Mm-hmm.
like with yeah. Sorry, I
All
don't
the
know how.
all the things, all the interventions work together to help different
Yeah,
areas.
yeah,
Where you may have speech therapy for speech, or occupational therapy for another, or cognitive behavior therapy for something else, but all together it helps the child with everything.
yeah.
Yep.
And early intervention, I think, is very necessary, right?
Oh yes.
That make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, Kathleen, when the kid he started to get the speech therapy, he didn't talk at first, and after a year, he was able to talk to you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice to see that because it's working, right? The therapists, they help kids to improve their lives.
Yeah, one of my favorite times taking him to speech was at near the end of the year. He asked me, "What's your favorite animal?" without me asking him first, and we had never asked about favorite animals before. So
Wow.
he pulled that one out from all on his own. We had done colors, TV shows, your favorite thing to eat, and your favorite thing to play. So when he
Yeah.
started out with Caitlin, "What's your favorite animal?" That was really a big step.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It's the little things.
Yeah. I have a client who has autism, and we were talking Jeremiah and me last time, and like he don't realize too much. When you ask him things, he just put the finger up to say yes, or put the finger down to say no. So he don't talk too much. And I was surprised, like 5 days ago, he called me on my phone and he say, "Hey, Soraya, this is David. I didn't see you in a long time. I miss you." And what? I was so surprised, but I was happy to see that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at what our next part of this assignment is. It says to summarize. I think we've kind of been doing that.
Yeah.
Summarize. Conclude by sharing the best general insight or suggestion about effectively intervening to foster optimum development. So I think what we've kind of talked about is just knowing the child and helping all areas, not one specific area. I think,
Yeah.
and that all kids may need help in something.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've gathered.
Yeah. And all of them need the help of the parents. And when, as I said before, if they are neglected, well, then they need to find the help from another adult who can help them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to summarize and each of us submit a paper about what we talked about here. So
I feel like one of the best things to have. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We can still hear you.
yes, don't worry. Kids, we know kids.
We love them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've heard that a lot. Don't bother Daddy. Daddy's working. We say that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was I saying? I think one of the biggest ways we can intervene, honestly, is teaching proper communication skills. in general, like to not only children with disabilities, or I think just to everybody. I mean, respectfully talking to each other, or I mean, looking each other in the eye when you're speaking, or just even the simple things, you know, or just if it's somebody who has a bad, or who doesn't have very good speech, or somebody who doesn't have too much cognitive or comprehension abilities, teaching them the simple things about language and expressing themselves can go a long way. And I feel like that in general can, I guess, foster development in everything, you know. I think there's a reason why a lot of people who can't read, or who have no book smarts, so to say, can still reach like an optimum happiness despite, you know, having those roadblocks or obstacles that they have to face every day. And I think it has to do with, I guess, social skills and I guess expressing themselves in their own way.
Well, yeah, it's very difficult to express yourself and even to let someone know that you're having troubles in a certain area if you can't communicate. And so I think that's the basis of all other fundamentals, is that you have to be able to communicate with others, to tell them what's going on, and it's how you get along in the world.
Yeah, it's true. Good point.
Is there anything else we need to add?
I just this yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I guess I can share a personal experience. I don't know how long this meeting is supposed to be. I know the last one was supposed to be 50 minutes.
Well, we're almost there, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right on. I didn't. Sorry, my power went out, so I forgot.
Oh, no worries. I'm gonna look as well how long it's supposed to be.
Okay.
I think they said at least an hour.
I think it was supposed to be close to an hour, but it doesn't look like it has any specific time frame.
Okay.
But if you want to share your personal experience, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'll do that real quick. So my client I work with now, he's nonverbal, and I've been working with him since, let's see, March. Yeah, around March. And just today I spoke with his mom. His mom came. He has a he was able to get a job at a local fish dive spearfishing store nearby the school, and so we do that one day a week, and he actually gets paid and stuff to do that. And his mom came by today, and she was saying how appreciative she was of me as his one-on-one provider, and the classroom EAs and TAs, and the teacher of the class. And because since basically around July or August, when school started, since then she's been noticing a big change in his ability to express himself. And it's because, for me, my mom is a sign language instructor, and so I've been able to teach him sign language, even so he cannot talk, but I've been able to teach him things. And he knows very basic skills. He doesn't really sign it correctly, but you come up with alternative ways to sign that fit his abilities. And just by doing that, he's been able to express himself a little bit more at home to his parents. And it's something that his parents were like really tripping out about. And so she was telling me she was just basically giving us all praise of how much she appreciates just the fact that she can talk a little bit more to her child. And I guess that's the basis of why I feel like communication is like number one in everything, because that's how we get everything we want or need, and how we help others and serve others. And like you said, it's like the foundation of society, being able to communicate with each other.
Yeah, my son is 2, and he doesn't talk much, but we started sign language with him when he was about 6 months old. And so he has a vast language ability, but not with speaking. And so he's able to say, I want to eat, I'm tired, or I want more, I want milk. He can communicate with us. It's just not in the way that most kids do. But it has been very helpful that we can still know what he needs and what he wants and get the point across.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's super good.
Yeah. And
very helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful. I wish to know sign language. I don't know.
Well, we're just going to meet again next week, and Jeremiah is going to teach us.
Yeah.
I don't know too much. I know enough.
Yeah.
A few words make a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
just watching my mom alone, she's a deputy sheriff, so she's in the courtrooms a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, and she actually learned it just because a lady in our ward was deaf, and she relied on lip reading. But if she had to sit all the way in the back, she couldn't really lip read.
Mm-hmm.
She befriended this lady, and then she was like, "Hey, I'm going to learn sign language." And so ever since then, and the blessings that come from just her making that decision are crazy.
That's awesome that your mom did that.
Yeah. So she holds for a while she was teaching at the community college, and then now she teaches at the stake center for community class, and lawyers are coming now, and, all kinds of people, teachers from all the public schools.
It's amazing.
All kinds of people are coming. Yeah. So
wow.
I feel like
I need to learn that. Okay. It's gonna be my next goal. Learn some language. Yes. Pretty cool.
Yeah. But language is important.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Cool. So we were able to share everything, I think, right?
Yeah, we were. I'm adding a link to the chat, and this is where I go to learn most of my sign language for my kid, if you're interested in it, for reals. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So go ahead and look it up.
Let me copy and paste. I can save it. Oh, it's so cool.
I actually got this website from...
Don't take any calls from Dustin.
I got the website from an ASL interpreter at BYU Rexburg.
Uh-huh.
And so they said this was the best one to go to for learning different words.
Cool. So cool. I really appreciate it. I really need it. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think this is our last assignment together, huh?
I think so.
I think so.
We've done a pretty good job. Good group. Sorry I couldn't make it that one time.
That's fine. Don't worry.
That's all good.
Other than that.
Yeah.
Like you said, life happens. It's all good.
Seriously.
Yeah. But we always been able to help to each other, so that's nice. And I appreciate all your help. Thank you so much.
And
yeah, I appreciate you guys too.
I think the link needs to be turned in. Is that right?
Yes.
And you'll take care of that?
Works.
If it works, you'll take care of that? Okay, because I don't think we can see the link.
Okay.
I think only you can see it.
Oh, yeah, it'd be on my YouTube channel. Yeah, if it doesn't work, then
We'll email the teacher and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it.
But I think it should. I mean, if it still says live, I think as long as the both of you were on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll work. Keeping it together. Yeah. We almost thought about hanging up and starting a new call, but we hung on to see if you'd join back in.
Oh, yeah, I went in panic mode. I was like, no.
Yeah, because we were thinking if we were to hang up, we could start a new one and start recording it. But the old part, so glad you're able to hop back in.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, you guys take care, and I think we got it figured out.
Yeah, okay.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye.